Hey, welcome back to another episode of Real Talk Live. I'm your host, Krypton Cage, and I'm joined here by my co host, the Viking, and two special guests, Vivian and Grayson.
What's going on,
What's going
guys?
on, guys?
Hello.
Got big smiles in your face because everyone here has seen Shang-Chi, but I haven't. So I'm a little bit jealous, but which we'll talk about. But it's really good to have the two of you on as guests. I think we all interact at some stage on Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that through the Snyder Cut fandom and then through just loving movies as a whole. So I'm glad two of you could join us today and got some interesting movie news to talk about. Don't be Casey.
Yes, we do. And before we proceed, I just want to, put this disclaimer out that we are not going to be talking Shang-Chi spoilers until we warn about the spoiler alert, and that's at the very end. Even my co-host Sean hasn't seen the movie, so don't worry about getting spoiled about any Shang-Chi, discussions or reveals or anything before we actually, put up the alert. So you're free to stay here until then if you haven't even seen the movie. But as soon as we put up the spoiler alert, you can, leave just like Sean is going to leave. Unfortunately, he has seen it yet.
It's my show and I have to leave. What? This is ridiculous.
It's your fault for not seeing it, dude.
Oh, I'm sorry for not being a Marvel chill like KC who gets all the perks and gets paid by Disney to see the movies first. Okay, I won't give in. I won't give in.
All right. So with that out, firstly, Vivian and Grayson, please introduce yourselves.
You
Maybe you
wanna?
can go first.
Oh, thank you. Hi there. My name is Vivian. I'm from Ireland. So yeah. I might not sound Irish, but I am. Sometimes people mistake me, but I am. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of movies and TV shows, and I've actually did like a college course in film and television, so it's kind of like my passion to kind of do. But yeah, no, I mean, I've had a fan for movies since I was like around whatever age I was when I was sit in front of a TV screen and I was just like watching it and everything. So, and then I kind of like one day my mom was like, "Why don't you just do something in something you're passionate about?" So, I went in and I just like was like, "Yeah, sure." And then I ended up doing a course that I love and now I'm like reviewing about movies and talking about movies and kind of like finding people that are interested in movies as well and TV shows and books and whatever. So yeah, no, but that's me.
I just asked Vivian because you studied film. I don't think any of us have here. Maybe Grayson has get to see, but how much like you love movies, but then you got to study movies. Did it like take away your enjoyment of them, or did it enhance it even more when you got to like find out all the extra stuff?
Like I have to say, like I really did enjoy it more. I thought when I first started it out, I was like kind of daunted by it because, it kind of took away the movie magic of things. But then when I found out like what it's about and how it works and like what the inside job of how they make like TV shows or movies or whatever, and it felt like a really good insight and a really good like learning curve. And so yeah, I just over time I just enjoyed it because I thought I was going to be so nervous about it, but no, I was actually like, yeah, no, I enjoyed it. So,
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's awesome. Yeah, well done.
oh, thank you.
You've actually worked on a film too, right? I saw some
Yeah,
post.
yeah. So, like for our student films, we kind of like we did we kind of had to do like a film. It was kind of hard during because we had a pandemic and like there was a lot of stuff going on and a lot of things like we were trying to find places and stuff like that that would like let us in and film and like we eventually like a lot of favors and asking and stuff like that and then we were able to finally film it and then of course we did kind of our own private you know screenings of our film because our college was kind of like no we're not going to show you anything because like it's under restrictions and stuff like that so we kind of came as a class together and we ended up showing it in our own cinema so we're like oh yeah pretty well done so
You're a filmmaker. You're a
That's
filmmaker.
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
I have a passion, so yeah. Mhm.
That's
Very good.
brilliant. No, that's so cool. Grayson, what film have you produced? What film have you directed?
Nothing yet. But
Yes,
that's the
yes.
you know that's the goal. Hopefully, I'll start by introducing myself. I'm Grayson. I'm from Southern California, which is pretty good. If I want to become a filmmaker, that's the best spot to be. But yeah, I have loved movies ever since I was a kid. As you can tell, well, I like the numerous posters in the background. Lover of Spider-Man, my favorite superhero of all time. I pretty much got into movies because of the first Spider-Man, and yeah, that's pretty much dictated um, pretty much where I want to do in life is basically I love to write, basically screenwriting and short stories. Nothing published just yet, but some stuff in the works, which is always awesome. So yeah, that's also you can find me on anarchy.com. That's actually where I do most of my reviews and stuff. I think I started with them actually a year ago from today. So yeah, that's usually where I do
That's
most of
awesome.
my commentary.
Yeah, your articles are almost like almost always creating fire on the timeline. And
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah. I haven't
Uh,
done an
I like,
article in about a month, but I got another one coming that's gonna
Nice.
create some
I like, I,
conversation.
I like how honest you are though, because sometimes the article headline will be like just the clickbait to get the click it, and then you go into it and like the opinion from the person writing it isn't as strong as the headline. But then with Grayson's ones, it's like the headline. Oh, that's pretty
Yep.
strong. Let's click into this, and then the article itself. Oh, he didn't hold back. He actually got worse after the headline. So that was I love that about your article.
Yeah, I will say, I do, I do kind of some clickbait headlines. But I guess my motto is that if I'm gonna make you click on it, I'm gonna make it worth your time. So hopefully, by the time people finish reading my articles, the clickbait thought escapes their mind and they just enjoyed what I had to say. So yeah,
Brilliant.
Yeah, and we're all we're part of Reality as well, Real Talk Live. We used to be on that YouTube channel and make more for this one. So we're all part of the Real Anarchy family. So thanks again to Ben for letting us do this and the YouTube channel and stuff like that. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. And lovely to have you guys here, and we'll definitely be talking more in the upcoming topics. So that's awesome. So with that out, we can jump onto the first topic here, um, which is the Expendables. The Expendables, well, a recent article came out that the Expendables 4 is going to start production soon, and they have finally announced their cast. And let me just read this out. Action stars never die, they just reload. This is from the Hollywood Reporter. Lionsgate and Millennium Media are bringing back their gun-toting, testosterone-slathered action franchise, The Expendables, for another go-around. Jason Statham, Dolph Lundgren, Randy Couture, and Sylvester Stallone, who have appeared in the previous three installments, are set to reprise their roles for the fourth. Joining the quartet in the feature to be directed by stuntman turned helmer Scott Waugh, who also directed Need for Speed, are 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson, and Megan Fox, and also Tony Jaa, the legend, with production scheduled to begin October. So this is pretty interesting because one of them look like they fit in the cast, but 50 Cent and Megan Fox were honestly a surprise to me. Um, I know that 50 Cent could be a really good, action star type of, hero, and uh, he would probably fit in it, but I don't know. It's so way out of left field for me. I didn't expect it. But I'll have to wait for the trailer to see that. And obviously, Megan Fox is awesome, but I never thought that she would be a pick for this movie. So that's also another surprise for me. How do you guys feel?
Well, I suppose a lot to guess first. Grayson, what's been your experience with the Expendables franchise? Do you like the franchise, and what do you think of number 4 coming along?
I enjoy it. I'm a Stallone guy. Like whatever he touches, I'm pretty much there for. It. I will say though, Expendables is not my favorite franchise, but it. They are movies that I will go to the theater, eat my popcorn, enjoy the ride, and probably never watch it again. I think that's what they're good for. I think they made some decent money, so I'm kind of I'm for them doing another Expendables. The cast is always fun to watch. It's kind of like an all-star team basically of your favorite 80s actors, so this is pretty I'm cool with this sounds like a good time.
Vivian?
Yeah, I mean, I've only like maybe watched like one or two of them. As like Stallone kind of Rocky fans in my household, we are like, we will watch anything with Stallone in it. But yeah, no, I mean, I find them really fun and they're quite enjoyable. As Grayson said, they're quite action packed. And I remember hearing the news as well, and like anything, like I like Megan Fox, like I do enjoy her in some stuff, so but I'm excited to see what she brings to the table. So it's just like I'm quite interested and see it. And like if you have like someone that you're interested in and you have a character that you're ready to develop, and I'm sure that they're gonna bring it into a whole new kind of like aspect, and I'm excited. I'm definitely gonna bring my popcorn and sit down and gonna watch it. So yeah.
Yeah, I own all 3 Expendables movies on DVD. I like it was I just like no matter how good or bad the movie was, I just thought when the first one came out, when my dad was interested because he grew up in all those action stars. I just thought it was cool to see them all be in the one movie together, even if the quality wasn't amazing. And I really enjoyed the first one. The first one was directed by Sylvester Stallone. He wrote it. This for the second one and the third one, he just co-wrote it as well. He didn't direct them. But I really liked the first two. Really liked the first two. We thought they were fun. The action was awesome, cheesy, cool, badass one-liners from the likes of Chuck Norris, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis, Sly Stallone. So, and the cast and the chemistry of the cast was actually pretty good. So, but where the franchise kind of went downhill was the third one for me. And even though all 3 movies made money, I think the first one made the 274 million on an $80 million budget. Second one they increased it to $100 million budget and they made 268 million. That's good, reasonable money. Like they're making back some change, and most of the money that they were making was internationally. But then the third one kind of decreased in box office, and there's a number of reasons for that. I think the budget was again 80 million, but it made 206 million. The film leaked, I think, weeks before it came out. Lester Sloan wasn't happy with that, stuff like that, of course. So it didn't make as much. But the problems with the third one compared to the first two was what made the first two great was all these old 80s, 70s, 90s action stars. In the third one, they were kind of pushed to the side and they brought in kind of a newer generation, Ronda Rousey and some other unknown actors that maybe they're martial artists and stuff like that. But like, I don't get excited seeing those guys. I don't really, because they're not big action stars like a Stallone or Schwarzenegger or Bruce Willis. And the third one just kind of went away from what the first two were good about. So I wasn't as impressed with the third one. But now, like the last one came out in 2014, or in 2021 now. It's going to be nearly 10 years after the last one. And Stallone kind of wants to get a little bit of redemption because he wasn't impressed with the third one at all. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't like how his character was written. So I think the next one will be a smaller film. The cast is already smaller. There's some not returning. I think the budget will be smaller and stuff like that. But I am surprised that Megan Fox and 50 Cent are brought in because I think they're not the actors that will attract new eyes to this movie, in my opinion. I don't think like that doesn't get me excited. Like I was excited to hear that Expendables 4 was in the works, but I'm that casting, like bringing somebody else that gets me kind of excited. No offense to Megan Fox or 50 Cent, but they're not badasses. They're not that action star that I want to see. I think the relationship and the friendship of 50 Cent comes from the Escape Plan movies. Have you ever seen them? Stallone is in them. There's 2 or 3 of them. They get worse as they go on. They're like DVD movies now, but 50 Cent is in all of those.
Oh,
I think that's where the friendship comes with those two. But yeah, you said the director of
Need for
was it
Speed.
Need for Speed?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. I thought that was an okay film. So look, if they can keep the budget small, and really do what worked in the first two movies. But I don't think this is a theatrical movie. I think this is a streaming movie. To be honest, I think it'd be better off if Amazon bought this. I think it would do insane on Amazon or Netflix or any of those streaming services. But I don't see this the fourth one with the stars that are in it right now making over 200 million at the box office, unless that changes, unless they bring in some other action stars. But I think it's a good streaming film. But I'm excited for it because I like the first two in the franchise. But yeah, you see.
Yeah, I'll be waiting for the trailer. I saw the first two movies. I liked it. It was, like you said, a popcorn movie, just like the Fast movies. But I've stopped watching the Fast movies after 8, and I'm not planning on continuing. But I'm not at that point yet for this franchise. So let's see how the trailer is, and depending on that, I'll watch that. It doesn't disinterest me or interest me, these additions to the cast. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah,
Yeah.
speaking of sequels, finally we have a news that news from the director of The Accountant, that the sequel is finally moving ahead, and they closed the deal. So let me read what CinemaBlend had to say. The recent announcement that O'Connor and Affleck are in fact re-teaming for The Accountant 2, along with co-star John Bernthal, is something that feels absolutely random, but at the same time long overdue. Joining CinemaBlend's Real Blend podcast, Gavin O'Connor broke the news to our hosts, and in a rather interesting way. This is the director speaking. There will not be a Way Back sequel, but we are doing an Accountant sequel. We literally just closed that deal. We're doing The Accountant again. That makes me very, very happy. And it's something like Cinema Blend here says, it's something that we expected actually after that ending from the first movie, and I was all amped up to waiting just for the announcement of the second one being in works. And then the pandemic happened, there was no news, and it just kept fading away. And I don't think it also didn't do that well at the box office. So many people slept on that movie, and it's just an amazing movie. So this makes me really happy that it's finally happening, and the director himself confirmed that. So this is very exciting news for me. What do you guys think?
Grayson?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that people slept on that movie because I'm one of them. Still haven't seen it. But I do love Gavin O'Connor. Way Back was actually my number 2 movie of last year, and I love Warrior. So I love the director. So I don't know why I haven't seen it. I think I just I gotta get to it. It's on my list for sure. But this news does it's gonna make me watch it a lot sooner than I was before. So I'm happy about this.
Cool.
Vivian, please tell me you've seen The Accountant.
I have seen the Accountant.
Awesome.
I was one of the people that went into the movie theater, and I sat down and I watched it. After I heard the news, The Accountant 2, I was kind of like, okay, now I need to go and rewatch it again, because I had kind of forgotten it, and kind of like, oh no, like I forgot about the plot. And I was like, all I remember, because of course at the time, like, Anna Kendrick was in her Pitch Perfect era, so all I was thinking, oh, Anna Kendrick's in this, and Ben Affleck's in this, and of course, Ben Affleck just came from Batman v Superman, and I was like, oh, I just want to see more Ben Affleck, and so I ended up going in and watching it, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't really know that there was going to be a sequel to it. I was quite kind of I thought it was just a one and kind of done kind of film, but that was just me. I can't remember what happened in the end. But I'm happy that it's getting a sequel. I'm kind of interested to see where they take and where they're going to go. Of course, I will sit down and I will watch it and see what happens. I mean, I watched the first one, so I'm excited to see what they could bring to the second one. So yeah.
Yeah, I went to go see it opening night in 2016 because we were kind of on that DC Batman train. I was so excited for the Batman solo movie, and I have a theory, and I talked about it online before. Very much how Focus with Margot Robbie and Will Smith to me was like a screen test for Warner Brothers to see, could these two nail it on screen in the Suicide Squad? Could that chemistry pay off? I think they definitely looked at that movie, and they did have chemistry in that movie, and it led to her being Harley Quinn for that Suicide Squad. I very much think that The Accountant was a screen test for the Batman movie because you have Commissioner Gordon, J.K. Simmons is in the
Yep.
movie. Anna Kendrick could have been Batgirl. I think I think she could have been great. And Ben Affleck is obviously in it. John Bernthal could have been who knows? He could have been someone in the Batman. But also, I think if Ben Affleck didn't direct the Batman movie, because look, it's very hard to direct and star in movies. I think he would have given it to Gavin O'Connor to direct the Batman movie, and I think it would have been an amazing to see because Gavin O'Connor was attached to a Suicide Squad film, a sequel to the David Ayers one because David Ayers wasn't returning and stuff like that. There was reports that Gavin O'Connor would be directing the film. Never happened. That was my dream, was to see him direct the Suicide Squad. They definitely would have got probably Joe Manganiello, Deathstroke in it. But look, The Accountant for me was just sat down in the theater, it was packed. I think it did pretty well here actually at the box office, and it was just a really engaging film. Because you're with Ben Affleck's character, you're not too sure like what is the story with him, what's he about, but he's just assassin, but he's really smart, and he can fight, but he's painted with trauma from his childhood, and yeah, I just had a really good time with the film. I thought it was brilliant, and it made on IMDb it says it made 155 million on a $44 million budget, which it probably made a little bit of profit. But yeah, I think there's definitely I think a sequel to this could do pretty well because like Ben Affleck has said that this is one of his favorite roles. He's done like top 5 roles that he's done in his career. So like, and I think that really shows in the performance. Such an interesting character. You could definitely do more. Like in a world where like John Wick has a trilogy and a fourth movie and a fifth movie coming, like this could be Ben Affleck's kind of trilogy, and I think it'd be awesome to see because Gavin O'Connor and him have worked together well. With the Way Back, which is such a strong, compelling film, and then Warrior is a brilliant film, as Grayson said as well. So yeah, I'm all for this one, and I'm looking. I will sit down and watch this opening night in theaters if it makes theaters, because it's hard to know what films are in cinemas or streaming nowadays. But yeah, all for it. More Ben Affleck, and I think like Ben Affleck seems to be a lot more healthy and stuff like that. His head seems to be kind of a lot better, so he's going to be in the Flash movie. So he could be recapturing that hunger he had in 2016. Hopefully, that's all hope, and he wants to maybe go back into the Batman, But yeah, all for it. The Accountant too. And Casey, are you excited for that?
Yeah, man. I loved the first movie. I won't give away the ending. But the ending just made me really hyped for the second one. And like I said, it didn't happen. But now that we're getting it, I'm pretty excited. And like you, I'll be, in the theater first day, watching it.
Yeah.
It's definitely one that you need to rewatch
Yes.
again.
Yeah.
For me, definitely. Because I'm after forgetting it. So I'm like, okay, I need to go rewatch that one.
Yeah, I forgot the
I
plot
just-
as well. I just remember the ending, and I remember what kind of an assassin he is. Like he's in the autistic spectrum, and he's very sharp with certain things and intelligent. So that's all I remember. I don't remember the story or the plot, so I'll definitely be rewatching as well.
And they did a good job at world building as well,
Yeah.
because without giving away spoilers, there was like a conspiracy with the government as well, and stuff like that. So, but one of the scenes that kind of stands out to me is like he's laying out his pens in order, and he has like all his calculator, and he's trying to solve the I don't know exactly what it is, but something within that company. And then like somebody wipes it away on the whiteboard that he's been working on for like nights and days, loads of days, and he gets so annoyed because it upsets him like of his autism. But yeah, I just thought he nailed the performance big time. So definitely looking forward to the sequel.
Absolutely. So we now move on to the next topic, which is Jared Leto's Joker. This is not really that big of a topic, but I thought it was interesting to bring up. Out of nowhere, Jared Leto just posted a Joker fan art that's holding Batman's head in one hand, and there's Superman in the front, and there's Flash and other characters. So it's a pretty good, artwork of the Nightmare, Joker, and the other, characters. And he randomly just posted it. So I think he just posted it because he liked the art, and probably was tagged in it, so he just posted that. But what do you guys think is the reason he posted this?
Preston, any theories?
I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but I think I'm in Casey's camp. I think he just saw it on like his feed and said, "Oh, this is kind of cool. Let me repost it." And I'd love for it to be a hashtag restore the Snyderverse, little nugget for us fans to kind of run with. But I don't know. I just think it's something he thought that was kind of cool. It is pretty cool, and I think the artwork was kind of cool though because it's him with the Batman's cowl and stuff,
Yeah.
and it's like another look into that nightmare world. And when I saw it, I just got bummed out because I was like, man, I really want to see this nightmare world that Snyder was going to do for Jail 2.
Yeah.
Vivian, you have to be on my same thinking here.
Give us hope.
Tell me this is more. This picture has to mean more.
I would love it to be more. I mean, I have like, I'm basically wanting more Snyderverse. I mean, I was the first person like up in the morning, and I was watching the movie, and my mom thought I was crazy. She was like, "Why are you getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning to watch this?" And I was like, "It's the movie of the year, really, for me." And I was like, it was something to watch. But yeah, no, I mean, listen, as Grayson said, it's probably, he thought it was an amazing artwork and he's just sharing it to the people. But a little bit inside of me was definitely saying, oh my goodness, please, please, is this a key? Is this like kind of a little bit of a message? Is he saying, yes, if you fans keep going, maybe, just maybe we could still get this thing off the ground. So that's me hoping and still clinging on to it. So yeah, I'm like, restore to Snyderverse, definitely.
Okay, so this is what really happened. Okay, you guys believe that it doesn't mean more? I do. Okay, right. So look, Zack Snyder and Jared Leto are just pure artists. Like they think ahead of everybody else. Like they don't. Like you would never see them post hashtag restore the Snyderverse, like on Twitter or on Instagram or something. You would never see them actually deliberately go out there and say, restore this or release this, that in that kind of way, because they like to be meta about things. They like to post cryptic images. They like to play along with the fan base, get the engagement going. And if you look, like didn't Zach post an image as well of Jared lately today? Was that today, Casey?
No, I don't think he posted of Jared. Or I have missed maybe, but I didn't see it.
Okay, I just seen it on Twitter. It was from today or yesterday. But anyway, like them two loved working with each other on the Snyder Code edition of photography. They talked about like how they just came up with things on the spot, and it was Jared Leto's idea for the "We Live in a Society" line. They didn't even make the movie, but blew up the internet. The picture of the black and white picture of Jared Leto's Joker holding a crown or a crown on his head, like those things are just unbelievable. They weren't even in the movie; they just used it for marketing because Warner Brothers wouldn't bother their asses to market the movie at all. And these two guys, these two geniuses, just said, we'll do it ourselves, like Thanos getting the Infinity Gauntlet, and they marketed the movie and the internet blew up. That was just a great day. But like you see all the air cut trending events, which is awesome to see, and hopefully that happens. But I don't think this means that something is happening or something is in the pipeline. I just think that these guys, they want to come back to this rule. Like I would love to see a Zack Snyder Jared Leto Joker movie or a HBO Max series. Like how badass would that be? That would just be amazing. Even if it was just a standalone thing, it didn't relate to anything, it would just be amazing just to see them work together again. And like I want to see Jared Leto get his redemption. I think definitely in the Snyder Cut he did get some of it back, because people for years have been saying he's the worst Joker of all time. And I said you can't really judge him because he only had 8 minutes of time in the Suicide Squad 2016 film. All of his footage was cut. There's more in the air cut, but like he showed in the Snyder Cut how menacing he can be. How like when I watched the scene for the first time, you guys probably the same. My jaw was just open. I was like, what is he going to say next? I just couldn't get enough of that. And it's one of the best Batman Joker scenes in media of all time. So But yeah, I think definitely Leto wants to come back as the Joker in some capacity, and this could be his way of putting it out there that he wants to come back. Maybe stuff are happening behind the scenes, but I don't think that he just posted it out of the blue for nothing because he liked it. Because he would do that for everything he liked about the Joker. It's very rarely he posts about the Joker. So I'm going to think it likely means something, but it doesn't mean that he's in talks with Warner Brothers right like that. I think maybe he would want to put his foot back in the door and say, "Yeah, I want to one last crack at this," because he wasn't happy when Joaquin Phoenix got his movie. No offense to Joaquin Phoenix in that movie or anything, but like it just shows how disrespectful Warner Brothers have been to their talent. You know, in the past, they've like the headless cameo of Superman and Shazam and stuff like that. Like it's a DC universe. Like Marvel would not do those things. I talked about that before. But hopefully under the next direction of Warner Brothers Discovery, more things start to happen and they listen to the fans. But I think Jared Leto's Joker blows up the internet, guys. I think it happens if he gets a movie or anything like that. Yeah, hopefully it means something. But it was cool art, and it did have betrayal in the middle, which was interesting choice of words, betrayal. But yeah. But can I ask you guys actually? Do you think, Vivian? Do you think because the Batman cowl was all blood? Do you think Batman or the Joker killed Batman, or do you have a theory about that? Because I have a theory as well.
I have a I didn't look at the image properly. I only saw it quickly today, but I did see the blood on the cowl, and it did get me thinking a little bit that what if he betrayed Batman to Superman?
Right.
That was just one of my thoughts that I had, and I was like, oh, maybe he was he cuts a deal with Superman and be like, you want him, you can have him, and I just want, I don't know what he wants, but he just wants something. So, but that was just a small theory I had, and I was like, that could have happened, but that would be amazing. I'd love to see something like that. If it ever continues, I'd love to see what they do next. But what are your theories? I'd love to know.
Yeah, Grayson, do you have a theory about that image? Or backstory?
Not really. I think I think it's kind of just picking up from where the scene kind of ends when Superman lands on the overpass, and he's pretty clearly about to laser Batman to dust. So I think that's what it was. I think in a way it's kind of interesting because I wonder, with bringing the villains together, there's got to be some sort of I guess double crossing. Even though Superman can hear everything, I think it would be interesting if Joker did rat out, Batman and his group and said, "Hey, Superman, they're over here, come kill him," because he has really no loyalty to anybody really. So I think that would be kind of cool. And maybe Jared is hinting at something that because we don't know what Snyder's current plans are for, I guess, because we saw the storyboards, but those were kind of older. I think they were done in 2000 15. I'm not even sure
14.
when. To 14. So the story's changed. So maybe there is maybe that's just another layer to the story of there was a double crossing. So I think that would be cool. And I think the artwork was really cool. It got me thinking, and I think Jared is smart. I think if they have any hope of restoring the Snyderverse, the key is to keep the interest going and to kind of keep not poking the fans, but keep reminding them, hey, this is something that it's not just what the fans want, but the people behind the camera want it too. So it was awesome.
Yeah, I'm with Vivian as well. I thought that it's the betrayal as well. I thought that he obviously offers to have a truce with Bruce, but I think he would definitely betray, and that image just shows that he's offering a dead Batman to Superman, and Superman's one enemy in the Knightmare seems to be the Batman because obviously he couldn't protect Lois from dying, so I think the Joker just offered that to him to just get in his good graces or whatever. But yeah, I do agree with Vivian. But also I think Grayson's point is also interesting because that scene, the way it ends, we can hear the heat vision go off, but the scene cuts. So maybe he already killed Batman there, and Joker's just laughing and picking it up and showing it to Superman. So that could be interesting.
I think that I don't think the Joker would turn on Batman like that because he turns on Batman. Batman dies. He's got nobody to play with. I think the two of them, that relationship is just it's very fascinating. I won't repeat some of the dialogue that Joker used in that scene, but he's very fond of Batman, and I would love to see that being explored even more. But I honestly think it could be a trap for Superman if that was to play out. Like, I know it's only a fan image, but if it was to happen under Snyder's guidance, I think it would be a trap to Superman because, like Lex Luthor, when he was trying to control Superman, he's like, did he say, "Bring me the head of the bat"? Was that what he was trying to say? I think subconsciously, evil Superman would have that image in his head because he hates Batman, and we've seen him try and kill Batman now in 2 movies in nightmare sequences where he has held Batman's cowl, and Batman v Superman, he took it off. Bruce, and in the Snyder Cut, one of the nightmare sequences, I think it was in Cyborg's one, he's just holding the bat cowl, looking at it. But that doesn't show that he killed. Because my theory is that there's multiple different timelines in the nightmare world. In case you've talked about this before, but that hasn't been confirmed or anything. But yeah, I think it could be a trap for Superman to occupy him, to distract them while something else happens. Oh, I've got the head of the bat here, the Joker's saying, and he's trying to give Superman Batman's head, but then something happens with the Flash. So I don't know exactly what else happens, but I think it's a trap. I don't think he kills Batman. I don't think Joker would. I don't think he would.
Makes sense, especially coming
But
from you.
I was wondering, like, also in the picture, you said the Flash.
Yeah.
And there's, who else is in the picture? I can't remember. But there was, like, I know
It's
there was the
Deathstroke.
Flash. Yeah.
Stroke, Cyborg,
So, yeah.
and Mira's there as well, I think.
Yeah. So I don't think they would have just let him kill Batman just like there must have been like something that he had up his sleeve. So they must have had a plan or something to take down Superman. I like that theory. I'm going to steal that now. So
yeah. Myself and Shea Hatton will be writing Justice League 2.
Yeah.
But that's good. It's fun to theorize about these kind of things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And speaking of nightmare characters, one of them is dead in the nightmare, and that's Aquaman. So James Wan just posted a while ago a new picture of a new Aquaman suit, and he said it's the stealth suit, and it's kind of blue, but mostly looks like it's very dark and black. And it's also a little bit different in design. There's a different belt, there's shoulder armor and stuff. So my first impression was I just loved it because, even though that yellow suit fit the Aquaman movie, I'm not a huge fan of that choice. I think, for that movie it worked. But I think if you want Aquaman to be fighting with the Justice League and the scenes are serious and big battle sequences, I think that would look absolutely ridiculous. So I much prefer the darker suit that JL had and BVS had. I think that works for him better. Even for Jason Momoa, it looks better on him. So this colored suit was instantly very attractive to me, and I'm totally on board. And this just basically sold me for the entire sequel, because I think that James Wan has been telling for a while now that they're gonna go more complex and dark in the second movie, which I actually expected from the first movie, but DCEU was, very different at that time. It was the transition phase of the DCEU, and there was Jeff Johns. So I guess this movie will be more of James Wan, more of what he wanted from the first movie. But maybe I'm just getting way ahead of myself just based on one suit. But yeah, I think this suit looks very, very good.
Vivian, any thoughts on?
yeah, I mean, I'm actually looking at the suit right now, and I have like the two suits, so I'm kind of comparing them. But yeah, I think I'm excited to see this. When I saw the suit, I was kind of like, okay, so as you said, there's gonna be, you have the newer suit where he becomes the king, and it's a bit flashy. but I'm sure he can get around. But I think this suit might symbolize like he might be going a different route. And this is James Wan we're talking about, so I would always pick James Wan to be a horror person. So
Yeah.
I do expect him to definitely go, full in, now that he has more range. And of course, this was, back then was like his first Aquaman film. And, they were just starting out and they were like, well, we want this to be good. And, we want to please fans and stuff like that. But now that he kind of has a bit of a range and he can kind of do his own thing, I'm excited for it. I mean, I like the new suit. I think it's great. It's definitely like fits kind of, Jason Momoa's character more so than the green and orange. But I mean, don't get me wrong, like I think it's great, but I'm excited to see what he brings this time around, because he could be completely kind of a different character this time. He could do so much, but I'm excited to see what he does. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Grayson?
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see like what, I guess now with the benefit of hindsight with the Snyder Cut coming out, I wonder if because even though like I do think Juan tried to respect what Snyder did, I wonder if now I guess if like Aquaman will be kind of closer to his characterization in like the way it was in the Snyder Cut, because there is kind of a little bit of a jump when you compare how he is in Zack's JL compared to Aquaman. Like
Yeah.
the film in general is just it's a little brighter. Like I guess you can say it's more Jeff Johns than maybe some of us wanted. But also, I'm not really sure if the first Aquaman went through those kind of same issues. Like we know Kathy Ann in Birds of Prey, she had some issues with the studio as far as getting the cut she wanted, and I'm not sure like what James Wan's experience is, so it's kind of hard to tell. I personally haven't seen much of his films because I'm not much of a horror guy, but
Oh
I'm looking forward
no.
to. I know. I should have said that. I should have just glossed over that. Yeah, I am looking forward to. Hopefully, he gets more creative control if he didn't before. And if anything, I think the suit looks good. I think for the first movie, the first suit looked kind of good too. I thought, even though it was kind of like, I think they're really trying to prove to, I guess, the long lasting kind of impression that you can't adapt a goofy suit like that. So I think they said we're gonna do it no matter what, and I think they did actually okay.
Yeah.
I think the suit looks pretty cool, especially in fighting scenes. But I kind of hope going down the line, it's just weird because like these guys they work out for like months on end, and the suit is just this complete armor. So I think they gotta find like a nice middle ground where it's not completely armor, but also not I don't know. I think the new suit looks cool, especially the black one. But it does have that weird um, kind of fake abs, so it looks kind of odd. But at the same time, I'm not going to be paying attention that much to it. So I think it's not going to matter once the movie starts playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first Aquaman had a kind of a weird shift in tones at times. Like at times it was very serious, and then would have those cheesy jokes and stuff like that, and the ocean to ocean sauna.
I still love
Yeah, I
that
don't know
movie,
what that
but
was.
yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I really like the third act as well. The big battle between Ocean
Yeah.
Master and Aquaman. Just some of the visuals there is fascinating. I do like the suit, the gold armor suit. I think it looks pretty well actually. And it's a very good adaptation from the comic books. I have no problem with that whatsoever, and I'm sure we'll see that in the movie. But they can't go too far away from the first movie because the first one did make a billion, so it was a success. So it can't be the Schindler's List of comic book movies now with number two. They can't. But I think it will be a lot more serious though in parts. And I think maybe those jokes won't be as active, those cheesy jokes. But I definitely think he's going to try and implement some stuff maybe he wanted to do in the Trench series that got scrapped in the Trench movie. His Conjuring movies for me are some of the best horror movies ever made. The directing style there is just fascinating, absolutely brilliant. The camera work,
Yep.
especially in the house, it's just brilliant. It's such a captivating film to watch because you feel like you're the camera. You're just going through this house and all this stuff is happening. But I hope he has more of those shots because he did have similar shots like that with Nicole Kidman scene at the start when she's fighting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Aquaman 2 and The Lost Kingdom. But yeah, I seen this image and he talked about on his Instagram where he got the inspiration from. So I decided to Google because Google is good for that to find out more information about things. Because I'm a big comic book reader and like what the suit is based off is this mini-series comic book that came out in 1986. and it kind of the subtitle for this miniseries was called Aquaman, but the subtitle was called "In the Shadowy Depths of Atlantis, His Life Will Change Forever." So there's kind of a basic small plot here. Aquaman settles back in New Venice when it is suddenly and totally destroyed by Ocean Master. Tragedy catapults Aquaman back to Atlantis, where he discovers that ancient talismans dating back to Arion's time are missing, and irate inhabitants have come to blame the surface world. To prevent a grisly war, Aquaman, in a redesigned costume, goes undercover searching exotic, never seen underwater civilizations for the missing sacred talismans. So I think like the title for Aquaman 2 is The Lost Kingdom, so he's going to discover new civilizations. So I think James Wan is taking a lot more than just the inspiration for the suit for the movie. I think he's actually going into this comic book miniseries run and is bringing some story beats from that into this, which will be interesting because it's titled The Lost Kingdom. So obviously he meets a new civilization, a new kingdom. If they're good or bad, I'm not too sure. But the suit is basically camouflage for him to go undercover. I don't know what way that works when he's very long hair. He's very noticeable. But yeah, I think this new suit might kind of mirror the tone that he might be going for in the sequel. But I like it. I think it's cool. It's I don't the fake abs. I don't mind it. Reminds me of Batman and Robin. So that was, So yeah, I think it's gonna be a badass movie, and Jason Momoa is just great. So, but I do think, as a Grayson that said it, I do think the Snyder Cut has changed the thinking of some of the DC directors going forward when they're working with the same characters. I think that if Patty Jenkins gets to do Wonder Woman 3, she'll have to be looking at the Snyder Cut and saying, "Yeah, I'm probably better off to do that kind of Wonder Woman." I think the Flash movie is definitely influenced by the Snyder Cut coming out in the time that it did come out, right before they started the film. So I think that only benefits us as Zack Snyder fans for that movie. And I definitely think that James Wan, now after making $1 billion, definitely has more control. After seeing the Snyder Cut, he might try and cater to that Aquaman more than the one that Jeff Johns wanted to do in the first one. So.
Yeah, I completely agree with you as well. And I think going forward, we'll see more of the Snyderverse elements, at least, if not just direct, references and stuff. We'll definitely be seeing more of that tone and elements from that taken, I think. Because I don't think any filmmaker, any professional filmmaker would take stuff from that desecration without name.
Yeah, and there's also an interesting kind of description of this miniseries. Like Aquaman gets a new costume, and he works through some deep psychological issues. So I wonder, would James Wan bring that over for the sequel?
Oh, that would be
maybe,
awesome.
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah.
I would definitely love to see like how he's going to deal with he's the outcast and he's just brought into this world of like Atlantis, and he's never ruled before. So I'm excited. Will he get to maybe touch a bit on that and kind of like how he's treated as the new king in his kingdom?
That is a very, very good point. He's the king now, and we haven't actually seen him be the king. So I think this movie will explore that, and I would love to see that. Okay, so yeah, that was it. And this on screen right now is Aaron Bailey's edit. He did a very, very good job, I think, with the poster. So go check him out on Twitter. He is at Aaron Bailey Art. But yeah, moving on to the next topic. Now we'll switch to Marvel, and it's What If Episode 4. Okay, so just to preface this, I would say that out of the 4 episodes, I only liked 2 so far. The second one and this one. And I thought the What If series was a very exciting project when I first heard of it. But now, after seeing the first episode, and then the third one was not that great. The first I thought was just, it wasn't good. The second one was pretty emotional because obviously Chadwick was in it, and even Guardians and stuff. So I like that side of the MCU, and it was pretty good for me. But this episode is just, I just I was weeping, and it was so emotional, and I thought Doctor Strange was done very, very well. I like the first Doctor Strange movie, but I thought that this episode really jumped into his mind and how he feels, how he thinks, and all that sort of stuff, and what's more important to him. And so basically, the premise is, what if he, instead of losing his hands, which were presented as the most important thing for him in the movie, here it switched to what if he loses Christine in the car accident, and he tries to prevent that, and then the consequences happen. So just by the first opening scenes, the way he was so crushed by that, pun not intended, but yeah, it was very emotional, and I just loved, up until the very end, I just loved this story. I would have taken a full movie with this, with this premise, and I would have just, loved it. And the visuals were insanely great. They even, kind of showed a flashback of the movie in animated form. I thought that was pretty cool. And the Watcher has more to do here, and there's, it's basically a Flashpoint story, kind of. There's Doctor Strange, there's reverse Doctor Strange, and, he is trying to save his loved one, and the timeline is getting messed up, and, all that stuff. And the very end also showed a very huge ramification that happens when you go to do that. And I think that's going to play a big part in the upcoming Doctor Strange movie, and the MCU as a whole. So that was a pretty well done episode. I think the best one definitely so far. So yeah, what do you guys think of it?
Brisbane?
I love this episode. This episode really, it kind of broke me a little bit because once it started, you started to realize, oh, I get what's happening now. There's like kind of this, point of no return where he's gonna keep trying to, get back what he lost, and it's not gonna work out. Once you start to realize like that's what the main story beat was gonna be, you were just like crushed for, again, no pun intended, for like just what this means for him, and personally, like I liked all the What If episodes. I think they all kind of dip into what made the comics pretty cool. Like they can be kind of quirky, they can be, just fun side stories, but they can also be like very meaningful. And I thought this was like far and away the most meaningful episode they've done, and probably the most heartbreaking one they've done too. And I also thought like even though I do think the other episodes were kind of in a way showing what, because even though it's called What If, like I think they did say this is official canon. Like this is kind of alternate universes. It's not to be taken as just like side cartoon, but it's actually going to sort of, it's kind of laying the blueprint for what the multiverse is in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like what they did, kind of showing how no, there are certain points that you can't get past, and that they're like absolutes. And if you try to break that, there is like a big ramification. I'm not sure if we can get into like spoilers, but like I feel like that's gonna be a huge thing going forward for like other movies like that are gonna dip into the multiverse, where it's like no, like just because there are alternate universes doesn't mean those universes can't end. Because in a way, like his universe did end in a way. So I loved it. This episode was great. I think this actually was the first episode that kind of have a complete, I guess, 1-to-1 cast of the actual movie. I think the other episodes, they kind of like Scarjo didn't return for her episode.
Yeah.
But I think this actually retained the entire cast from Doctor Strange, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
Vivian?
Yeah, no, I mean, for this episode, like I've been watching it true, and I really thought this episode was very like impactful, and it, as I said, like it was really upsetting and quite sad, and but I really love what they did with, the character of Christine, because I rewatched Doctor Strange like about a month ago or whatever, and I feel like she wasn't given much screen time, and that she wasn't that much of a necessary kind of love interest for Doctor Strange in like his own movie.
Yeah.
But as like, as I watched this episode, I was kind of like, she is taken very seriously, and she is kind of like, this is, for me, like this is what she should have gotten in the Doctor Strange movie, really.
Yeah.
Like not her fate, but like her like her kind of her romance to Doctor Strange.
Right.
But no, I mean like each episode is definitely very individual, and I have to say the first episode that I found with Captain Carter was like, of course, it felt very like a pilot, and a lot of people were saying it is kind of like a pilot until I watched it, and I was like, I understand why it's like a pilot, but of course, at the first time watching it, I was like, oh my god, I didn't feel like it was a pilot, but then after watching it, I was like, okay, it is kind of like a pilot. But as the kind of episodes went through, especially episode 4, since it got so kind of like emotional, and I was like, I don't know what I'm signed up for at this point, but I was like, could each episode, like going forward now, is going to get even more emotional? I was like, I hope not, because episode 4 kind of broke me.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I mean, like I enjoyed like all the characters. I was actually talking to my friend about it, and I was like, where was Mordu in this episode? Because I was like, he's usually there, and he was trying to explain to me that since it's kind of a different reality, maybe Mordu wasn't there for this reality. And I was like, or he's on his own side mission. They're going to put him in later somewhere else. So I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty interesting. So I was like, yeah, I mean, but yeah, no, like I enjoyed this episode. I really thought it was good, and I really have to say, like, they did Christine's character a lot of justice in this. Well, not her fate, but like as a love interest to Doctor Strange, and like kind of her more of a majority of a role for her in this show. And all I could think about was every time there was, fate happen to her, I was thinking of Regina George from Mean Girls. I was like, oh no, they really don't like this character. But but yeah, no, overall, like I enjoyed it, and I thought it was a great episode, and I'm excited to see how they're going to go on now, because episode 4 was quite like a shocker. So I hope it's not as devastating, but who knows what's going to happen next, really. So that's why it's called What If.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah.
the Christine part as well. I thought I thought Rachel McAdams did a pretty good job at making us feel bad for, what keeps happening to her. So yeah, more than the movie itself.
I love consequences in film. I love when Stacy dies in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Not that I hate the character, I just like, or when Superman dies in Batman v Superman. I just think it adds a lot to the story and to the characters when there is consequences to things that happen. And here, I love this episode because there was consequences. It didn't end happy. The Watcher is there, and he can't step in, and he lets Doctor Strange kind of waffle in his misery of, I was wrong, and well, I don't want to spoil that, but I'm spoiling that. But
No,
the
actually, we
just
can
the
talk spoilers,
ramifications.
because it's been a
Yeah,
few days, right? So
yeah. So like, there's he's trying to change because his girlfriend died, or his wife died, and he's trying to change it and bring her back and stuff like that. So look, I just really like that. Some of the visuals were brilliant for an animated show. Fantastic, loved it. So engaging, such an impactful episode. And it was great. It was great to have the actual full voice cast there in it. I think it adds a lot to it when it's them. I was surprised that Rachel McAdams is in it. I don't think she's in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. No, I don't think so. I don't think she's returning. But yeah, it was awesome to see her return in this. But yeah, it was really, really good. I just liked how maybe we could see something like this in live action with the multiverse being cracked open with either Spider-Man 3 or Doctor Strange 2. Something like this could happen, and maybe some of those theories about an evil Doctor
mm-hmm.
Strange in the trailer could be true. I don't necessarily think it is, but it could be true. And yeah, I just really enjoyed this episode. I just think I liked how he went back in time and he was in that universe. And I like how it could have been a plot hole to have him be the only Doctor Strange in that universe, even though he went back. There was actually another Doctor Strange there coexisting all that time as well. So I did like that, and the two of them kind of had to face off.
Right.
And I was afraid that the good Doctor Strange would win, because to me it wouldn't have made any sense whatsoever, because the evil Doctor Strange has been spending years getting stronger and stronger, obtaining more magic and spells and stuff like that. So for me, if he was defeated, it wouldn't have made sense whatsoever. I understand how they're stronger if they're joined together because they're half a man, stuff like that. But come on, this guy knows more magic than this guy, and he's more experienced, so it made sense. So I'm glad that the evil guy won, the evil Doctor Strange won. But I'm also glad how he didn't really win, because he still lost.
Right.
Or in the end, he still lost. He killed the universe. He killed billions of people. So yeah, could we see something like that in live action? Maybe Toby's universe or Andrew Garfield's universe or some universe. But yeah, this was a really good episode, and Marvel's killing it, because I honestly think they've been taking a lot more risks with these Disney Plus shows. Falcon and the Winter Soldier for me at times was outstanding. That's my favorite Disney Plus show, especially the scene where what's the guy who played the new Captain America for America, his name, where he just
Falcon?
the white guy. The white guy.
Is it John Walker?
John Walker, yeah.
Yeah, John Walker.
Something
That's it. Yeah, thanks, Vivian. Yeah, he just brutally killed that person, and the blood on the shield. Like, I love that so much, because it's so different from anything that Marvel have done. And I thought Loki was brilliant as well. So they're really killing it with these Disney Plus shows. And I think it's hard to beat Marvel, man. They're taking over animation now as well. So it's fair play to Kevin Feige and all the crew that work there, because they're doing an amazing job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. And yeah, that was our review for What If episode 4, and I cannot wait for the next one. I hope it's as good, or at least, better from this episode. But yeah, this is very, very, very good.
I think we have a few more episodes with Chadwick Boseman as well, which is going to be emotional. Like, that episode 2 wasn't his last one. He's going to have a few more, so that will be emotional, and I'm interested to see how they try and wrap up his story in the What If universe. We're all very eager to see how they do it in Black Panther 2. But yeah, it's just sad, but it's awesome to have more material of him in the role, and that will live on. So that's awesome.
Agreed. So moving on to the final topic of today, Sean. It's Shang-Chi.
Yeah, okay, I haven't seen this.
Yeah, but you can stay for the non-spoiler review if you want. We won't be talking spoilers until a while. So let's start with Vivian. What do you think of the movie?
Well, of course, no spoilers, so don't worry. Overall, I really enjoyed it for like a Marvel movie, because I remember when I went to see Black Widow, and I was like, that was a really good kind of a spy movie for me. But this kind of gave me more of I could go in and I was like, oh, this feels more like a Marvel movie or something like that. Not to say that Black Widow wasn't a Marvel movie or anything. Of course it was, but it just had those elements in it that kind of made it more wholesome, and it is like it fabricked and a pieced together, kind of like an amazing Marvel movie. And I really did enjoy it. And just like the score was amazing, to the the soundtrack, which I have on repeat, and it's something that I do listen to, and it was really moving and really touching, and the characters were really great, and the actors, they played their parts amazingly in it, and you just kind of you feel emotion for each character in the story, and it's really good. It's one of a really good like origin stories for Marvel, and it's something that it's perfectly, it's in a perfect time, and I wish it came out like sooner, but during pandemic and stuff like that. But like, other than that, like, it's a great movie, and I did enjoy it, so trying not to spoil anything. So yeah, that was my kind of like my feelings towards it.
Cool. Grayson?
Yeah, I really liked it, man. It was so good. And like, before the movie was coming out, like Simu Liu, the main actor, he was really like propping up like what this movie is gonna mean for a lot of people. And I think it met the hype, because I think this movie came out actually like 2 weeks ago, like, or at least the premiere happened about 2 weeks ago. So the hype was starting to build, and it was kind of like one of those things. Okay, it's another Marvel movie. You know how like the fans or the critics, when they see it, they act like it's the best thing since sliced bread. So I was kind of like worried that it was going to be like that. But in a weird way, I think Black Widow, people were very honest with how they felt about that movie. So I feel like in a weird way this year, people have been very, in a way, I guess it's weird to say, but not honest when it comes to Marvel movies. So going into it, I had like a lot of expectations because the hype was real and it met the hype. Like I thought it was really good. I think this is one of Marvel's best villains, and I don't want to say wow because we've got obviously Thanos, he's great. Killmonger, that was like 2017 or 2018. So well, I feel like I don't want to say like it's been a while, but I do think like this was a very compelling villain. The backstory um, for just the overall, I guess, for that family of Shang-Chi, that I think that was really good. I'm trying to avoid spoilers. But yeah, I thought, and just the cinematography too. Like, from the trailers, I knew this was gonna be like really good, at least like to look at. And it definitely was. There was a lot of just great fight choreography. I would say probably the best in like I don't because it's a very distinct. It's very like kung fu. It's not like Civil War or Winter Soldier where it's kind of mixed martial arts. This is very like it's diving into Crouching Tiger kind of martial arts. So it was just from every. I think they really just did a good job with everything. And like I said, the soundtrack was amazing. I'll have to hit you up about like specific tracks because I didn't. I like the soundtrack, but I didn't look it up like what moments have what songs or anything like that. But yeah, it was. I think it was good. I think it just like when I finished watching it, my feeling was like, wow, the MCU is in good hands. Like I know a lot of people like they're saying, oh, they're jumping ship after Endgame, but why? Like they're still doing. I think now in a weird way, it seems like they're going in a more filmmaker driven, direction with the current Disney Plus shows, and with Black Widow and Shang-Chi. Like these seem very like I feel like I can see the imprint of the filmmaker and what they want to do more than ever before, I guess.
That's
Sean?
awesome. Could I ask? I have to say that I can't review it. Best MCU movie ever. What the critics usually do. No, there's people saying that there's a lot of surprises in them. Obviously, Abomination is the one that's seen in the trailers, but and you guys, without spoiling, is there surprises where I will be, or some people will be like, "Oh my god,"
Yep.
in the theater watching it?
The trailers didn't show anything. Anything.
Because the marketing for Shang-Chi was okay. It wasn't anything amazing. I thought the trailers were okay as well. I've seen some people say that the actual movie is 10 times better than the trailers presented it to
Yep.
be.
Well, I think that's the trade-off when it comes. Like, it's either like the trailer gives away everything, or the movie kind of exceeds the expectations that the trailer gave in the first place. So I think the marketing was decent. I think the movie kind of blew everybody away, and it's what I think it made like what 120 million about
Yeah.
worldwide opening weekend. So I mean, it seems like people are seeming to like it. So I think this is a big hit for Marvel, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with you
Or-
guys, and I think that, and I'm right there with you. This is one of the best Marvel movies, period, and one of the best MCU movies, and uh, one of the all-time best solo movies. Also, I think it really surprised me. Like Sean was asking, yes, it has a lot of surprises, especially for me because this is so different from any other MCU movie in terms of style, the way it looks, and man, I just the way it looks in the in the third act and the second act and all that, it just blew me away because I'm very big on color grading, cinematic look, and you know frames looking very cool in slow motion and all that. So I got all that, So I was very, very happy with the third act. I really loved this film. Black Widow, I liked it, but I didn't love that movie. I thought it was good, but I probably wouldn't watch it again and again. But this movie is definitely something that has become one of my favorites. and I would definitely watch this at least 2 or 3 more times. And I unfortunately haven't seen it in IMAX, but now I want to see it in IMAX because the movie is just amazing, and the
Yeah, I did
cast was
see it in
also amazing.
IMAX.
Oh, you
Yeah, I saw it in
did?
IMAX, and it
Nice,
was it was pretty fire, bro. You should. I
nice.
would say it's definitely worth seeing it again. And if you do see it again, make sure you get like IMAX or
Yeah,
Dolby Digital, one of those.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see it in IMAX, but I was kind of like, because IMAX was all booked out and everything, I really did want to see it in IMAX, but I was like, it's definitely a movie that you would watch again. And it's so pretty to look at. And it's just, even though there is parts, of course, there is green screen, but it had like that magical feel to it because, this is a Marvel film and you are going to be swept away by the beauty of it. And of course, this movie was just done so beautifully. And it was something I will watch again. And of course, for Black Widow, I feel that it's more of a spy film. And yes, it's more like, I could pick maybe the opening scene as one of my favorite scenes
right.
from Black Widow that I would rewatch again. But for the movie, like, in Black Widow, there is parts where I would pick and I would rewatch, but I would not rewatch like the entire film until like maybe a while later. But for this movie, for Shang-Chi, even though I'm pronouncing it completely wrong, and he does yeah, I mean, but like, this is a movie that I would watch in its entirety, and I would just like watch it over and over again. So yeah.
Hmm.
You guys have driven my expectations up even higher now. So I have to check out this movie, I suppose.
And I'm not afraid to actually do that also, whereas I would be for different other movies, but for this I would say that if you expect it to be really good, you'll still end up pretty satisfied, I think, because the director did a very, very very good job, and he stuck the landing, which is the most important thing that makes the audience happy and satisfied at the end. So yeah, for the MCU movies, I would say usually I don't. If the director changes from one movie to another, I don't get that disappointed. Except for James Gunn, because I think that main work is done by the whole team and Kevin Feige and the storyteller and all that. But I think that this director has a very distinct style for this movie, and I would definitely be disappointed if he was replaced. And it looks like he won't be, so that's a pretty good thing.
This director seems people are praising this director a lot. So that's awesome. We also have Chloe Zhao, is it?
Yes,
Or
Chloe Zhao.
Chloe Zhao, like Oscar winner for Eternals, and that film to me looks beautiful. And then we have Spider-Man 3. So like we're on a nice roll here of
Mm-hmm.
Marvel movies that, even though I don't think the Spider-Man director has much directing style like a Sam Raimi or James Gunn, that kind of way. But I think we're just in for such a treat now for these next few MCU movies. So
I don't
it's
know.
great.
I don't
And
know how Eternals can top this movie. I honestly don't.
I have a few problems with the Eternals trailer, but I think it looks beautiful that kind of way. Because Chloe Zhao talked about she wanted to shoot on location and stuff like that, which a lot of Marvel movies don't really do. So I'm interested to see how that compares to Shang-Chi. And yeah, I can't wait to see Shang-Chi on Tuesday. I can let the world know my thoughts, and hopefully I agree with you guys.
Awesome. So we
Yeah.
will
So
be
I'll let you
jumping
guys
onto the
talk
spoiler talk
spoilers.
now.
I'll
Will you be staying?
let you talk spoilers. No, not for this one. Grayson and Vivian, thanks very much for
Yeah, man, good seeing you,
uh,
man.
yeah,
It's so nice
and
to talk to you.
awesome. Yeah, and enjoy your spoiler talk with KC.
Hmm. Bye.
Okay, bye.
All right. So now that that guy's out of the way, just just kidding. So yeah, look. Let me just bring up the spoiler alert banner and fix the camera over here. But you can start going to spoilers. Grayson, do you want to go first?
but that could have been like a vision. But actually seeing that whole sequence play out was just insane, and it lasted quite a while too. It wasn't like a quick like 5 minute. I feel like the dragon sequence was happening for at least 10 to 15, and just seeing that whole like mythological scale, I guess, because Marvel doesn't really go mythological that much, and I think
Mm-hmm.
this was the first movie where I can feel like, okay, going forward they're gonna start to dip into that. And I thought it looked great. The director, I think his name is Destin Daniel
Destin Daniel,
Cretton.
yeah.
Yeah, and he did Just Mercy, which is really good. So I think if this is what he's gonna bring to the table for Marvel as far as like their mythological movies go and their martial art esque, you know, movies go, I think we're in good hands.
Yeah, I mean, I would say probably the only spoilery thing that I really want to talk about is probably the ending, really. But no, I mean, like the movie itself was really good. I enjoyed like the creatures that they introduced. I really thought, I believe it's Ben Kingsley, right, from Iron Man 3, who was
Yeah.
you, who yeah, I really liked how, they brought his character back and, you know, he wasn't like we all thought, oh my goodness, he's going to die, but instead, sorry that I'm kind of doing spoilers, but yeah, no, we found out that he becomes more of a jester than, he's there for the entertainment of, you know, um, of the Ten Rings for their amusement. Um, but I really like how he kind of is kind of like I wouldn't say a shoehorn, but he's more of a kind of like that person that you meet on the path, and then you're brought to him, and he's kind of like, well, here's
He's
Morris,
here.
which
Yeah.
I will say is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. So yeah, I really enjoyed like, and of course, the dragons. I wasn't too sure what the main like the villains behind the wall were going to be because I know they were talking about it, and I was like, okay, let's see what they were, and it was kind of like a dragon versus kind of dragon battle, and I was like, oh, okay, but no, like other than that, it was like really interesting and amazing, and um, I have to say, like, my favorite part was like Aquafina. I did like her um as a character, but I haven't really given her much time, as an actor, and I know I should have. Like she is really good, and but I really liked her in this, and I was kind of afraid what she was going to pull off, and but she did it really well, and I really thought she was funny, and she brought like humor to the like she brought humor when it was supposed to be humorous, and it was really good. She was not just the best friend, but she was also there for the humor relief, and she was also there for she was pretty amazing. I really liked her, and I liked the bond that they had, and it was pretty awesome. So, yeah. But I thought the movie overall was brilliant, and I would definitely go watch it again. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you guys' points, and I didn't know what to expect from this movie. Obviously, there was too much hype, leading into it. So I was just like Grace, and I was like, oh, they do this for every single movie, and blah blah blah. Although it doesn't affect my judgment of the film, because I know that that's unfair to have high expectations based on someone's reviews and then going into it and then getting disappointed. So I don't really factor that into it. But this time I think they were pretty on point with all the hype. So yeah, the way I uh, you know would describe this is it's kind of similar to Aquaman in terms of scale and visuals and how big the third act is and how unexpected that was. Like, I remember getting really surprised when that giant kaiju thing came out of nowhere in Aquaman, and there was this huge battle underwater, and I was like, what is happening? And of course, the the boat fight was also pretty cool in that. But yeah, it was kind of similar in this. They went to a new place that was, it was called Talo, and we were kind of getting introduced to it since the beginning of the movie. They name dropped it a couple of times, and they also showed a lot of the dragon imagery throughout the movie. And I was just 100% certain that they are definitely going to have a dragon in the end. I just didn't know how. Shang-Chi is just a man, and there doesn't seem to be a villain here of that scale that a dragon would fight, right? Or how Shang-Chi would fight a dragon, right? So I was 100% sure that a dragon is definitely going to be in third act, but I didn't know how they would bring them in. And once that the voice started coming from behind the wall, I was sure that there was a dragon behind the wall. And I was just thinking, how are they gonna fight the dragon, and why would the dragon be like fighting these guys? So I just didn't know how, but I just knew that it was gonna happen because I watched Iron Fist season one, and at the end of that season, Iron Fist actually goes to a cave. The opening of cave, the entire season they tease a dragon, and then the dragon never shows up. So I was pretty disappointed about that. But I knew that since this is a movie and it's a Shang-Chi solo movie, I knew that the dragon would show up here definitely. So I was not disappointed in the least. So I just loved that whole third act. It just blew my mind. It's also interesting that the villain dragon was kind of not actually a complete dragon. It was kind of like a Lovecraftian creature with a different design and all that. So I liked that. And the flying dragon just was amazing. It was just very huge. So I just love that. I know some people get turned off by big CG spectacles and all that. I just love all that. So that was definitely for me. And I would say that Aquafina is definitely up there in terms of favorite characters. I thought she was amazing. I loved her in Crazy Rich Asians. Before watching that movie, actually, I heard people, hate on her a lot because of her comedy not being that good and all that. But I was pretty pleasantly surprised by her performance in that movie. But then I saw The Farewell next year, and I was again very surprised because it's the complete opposite, and she's very, very serious and dramatic in that role. And I thought that she had a pretty good range. So I was going into the movie, I was expecting to love her in this movie as well, and she delivered. And she's, like you said, she's not there just for the jokes or stuff like that, but in the serious scenes when Shang-Chi was telling about his backstory, and he reveals some pretty dark stuff. So she just sits there silently because obviously she can't say that, oh, you're this, that, or she can't say, oh, that doesn't matter, but she just listens and sits silently. I loved that moment. I thought that she brought pretty interesting choices to the movie, and I just loved her overall. But I would say that just by a little bit, I think Tony Leung's character is my most favorite of this movie. I actually didn't think he was a villain. I kind of think that he had his purpose and he was just very dedicated to that. And I can understand why, because he obviously, he was on his way to conquer everything and all that. And then he met this woman and fell in love with her, and, had children with her. And he gave up what was the primary motive of his life to be with her, and then she gets taken away from him. I can understand the path he went on to after that, and he just was so badass throughout the movie. He just him walking was so good. He's just so good looking, and he's 60 years old, and I was like, wow, this guy is a movie star. And I just loved every scene he was in, and until the very end his performance was amazing, and I was actually pretty sad when he died. So, yeah, and it's the MCU. I think they might bring him back later on, but yeah, I think for this movie it was a pretty good ending, and he was very very good. And yeah, these two are the top favorite characters of mine, and then I would say Shang-Chi, and I even loved the sister character. She was pretty amazing, and I didn't expect to love her that much. I thought that usually when this happens, the side characters are just relegated to the side, but she was pretty amazing, and she was in every scene with him and supportive, and there was fights between them as well. So I loved all that as well. So the post-credit scene obviously sets her up for as the leader of the Ten Rings going forward, and I can't wait to see where that takes us with her journey. But yeah, I loved her character as well, and Trevor Slattery obviously was very hilarious. And my favorite moment of his was when during a battle scene he was dead, and he was like, "No, I'm not dead. I'm just pretend." And that was just very unexpected and hilarious to me. But yeah, he brought a lot of the comedic relief to the movie, as opposed to Aquafina, who had some comedic moments, but also was a very supportive and serious type of role, which I loved because if it was all comedy, I probably wouldn't have liked her character as much. But she was a pretty well-rounded and interesting character, and I was very happy that when in the end Wong was inviting them to join. I loved that he also invited her, so we are definitely going to be seeing more of her, so I'm pretty excited about that.
I'm really excited to see like what they're going to do next as well. But I wanted to say one thing that I really enjoyed was actually the bus scene for the fighting
Yes.
sequence. So good, so good. That was one thing that I left out, and I was like, I really wanted to say that. But like I just loved how it was like choreographed, and like they used the bus as like not an obstacle, but they used it as more of an object where they could they were using it kind of like as a jungle gym, and you had you had Shang-Chi going in and out, and he was breaking the windows and the glass, and he was going in trains, opening the door was actually one of my favorite. And Aquafina trying to like drive the bus
Yeah.
down the San Francisco like the hills, and it was really entertaining, and it was super fun, and that was just one thing that I really did enjoy of it.
Yes, and that guy, Razor Fist, I think is his name. He actually apparently trained for like 4 months just for that one scene, and even Simu Liu did a lot of stunts for that scene, the fighting, and there's one behind the scenes video that I saw. The one where he's sliding on the top of the bus and then holding that rod to get into the bus. He actually did that, and it's pretty amazing how the choreography in this movie is, like you guys said, it's one of the best, if not the best, of the MCU. I was just mind blown of what I was watching. Like I said, the expectations were so low for me, and then I heard about the hype, and I still was satisfied and not disappointed. So it's a pretty amazing feat.
Yeah, I think like you said, the train part was so good, and I think what it did right in a sense was like you said, it used it as an object. Or like in Captain Marvel, like there's like talk of like this fight on the train, and you watch a movie, it's like it's
Oh
just
my
kind of
god.
like there just happens to be a train there. It's not like the train had much to do with anything. So I think the genius of this movie is that wherever they're fighting, they're really utilizing, I guess, their surroundings, kind of like in a John Wick kind of way, where it's
Yeah,
like whatever's around them, like they're gonna use. And I think it really blended that, blend of like hand-to-hand combat and CGI really well. And like you said,
absolutely.
Najeed, there's like a lot of people that will like it's kind of like it's the rinse and repeat kind of thing where people complain about the end CGI battles when it comes to MCU. But I think for this one particularly, I think it worked pretty well.
Hmm.
Um, in a way, it was like one of those like delightful surprises where it's like, oh, I thought this was going to be more grounded, and it kind of went very mythic, and I think it only improved the movie. I don't think it held back. I think it was like another layer that we weren't expecting. So I thought that worked really well, and I think at the end too, like when I guess, are we allowed to talk about the post credit scene?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. I love how they're kind of being invited into this world where the Avengers are going to be, because we don't really know the state of what the Avengers are after Endgame, but we're
Yeah.
kind of getting little, nuggets of what it's going to look like. And very interestingly, surprisingly, I thought, why isn't Hulk Smart Hulk anymore? Like, why is he just Bruce Banner? I thought that was kind of a huge thing that not many people are talking about. So I wonder if that's going to be something that's going to be explored maybe in the She-Hulk series. Who knows? And also with the Ten Rings, I thought that was just a really cool kind of cliffhanger in a way, because I did like the character. If you guys watch Avatar, she reminds me a lot of Ty Lee. She's kind of very like subtle and subdued, but like she's kind of badass too. So I thought she was really cool, and I wonder if that's going to lead into like a mini series on Disney Plus where she's like bringing up this new kind of phase of the Ten Rings. I thought that'd be kind of cool if they did that.
Yeah, and I think that post credit scene with Wong also kind of sets up a pretty major thing that I think we'll see in the future. Maybe we might see that in Doctor Strange 2 as well. Interesting timing with the What If episode 4 and this movie together coming out, because both of those things hint at some things being in that movie. And I totally can see Shang-Chi being in Doctor Strange 2 now and, helping out. And obviously Aquafina as well. But even in that scene, I just loved when everything was just so serious and they were setting up. And we thought that the post-credit scene ended. And Simulio just says or, and then the jump cut to them singing karaoke.
That
It
was
was
actually one of my
hilarious.
favorite as well, was the karaoke scene where they're like, Wong, come on, we can go,
Yeah.
we can do karaoke instead. Don't worry about the multiverse, it'll be fine.
Yeah, I just love that. It was so like you said, Vivian, their chemistry is just amazing. Simu Liu and Aquafina's, they just nailed it, and I thought that bringing them together in the Avengers team and whatnot, I thought was a very very good decision.
Yeah, do you guys think like she's gonna be involved in like any kind of like superhero stuff, or is she just gonna be like the friend that happens to be there while Shang-Chi is like doing stuff?
Well, he has 10 rings, so he could give a couple of them to her.
For some
That's true.
reason, I thought, the way they released the packages of of the toys of them before the movie came out, and I thought I saw her with fans or something like that, but then I remembered it was actually just a bow and arrow. I was like, I thought she had fans or something like
Oh,
that. Um,
interesting.
yeah, but when I saw her, I was like, oh, I didn't know her character was gonna be a superhero, because usually in the trailer
Yeah,
they
me
don't
neither.
really, yeah, but but yeah, I think she could be the next Hawkeye or something.
Hmm.
She could go train with them or something like that, and they can use their bow and arrows and stuff like that. But no, I think she might have a bigger role. I like to know a bit more of her backstory, because
Yeah.
I thought, for me, when I was watching the film, I thought like the man that killed his mom was her father or something like that, and that's why he didn't, or I thought that's why he didn't kill him, but we found out that he did kill him when he said it to her. But
Hmm.
that was my thinking through the movie. I was like, oh, was the reason he didn't go through with it and the reason he stayed was because he became friends with her or something like that, or her dad, and she, like, he didn't want to go through with it or something like that. But we were then told then through but that was my thought through the movie, and I was like, oh, that would be kind of interesting. But then they went and did something else, which is
Yeah,
also very
Yeah.
interesting as well.
They did a
But yeah.
pretty
yeah. The
good
whole thing
job with
with
the
the
structure.
Yeah, the whole thing with the whole like the mother like mystery, I was like, is she alive? Because like they started making me think that, but eventually like once they went through the backstory, it was pretty apparent that she was dead, and
Yeah.
that it was just like I just love the film. Like the I think that was such a tragic way to tell that story, and it gave everybody like their layers and like the reason for why they're doing what they're doing, even the father. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think overall, I just it was a good movie. I think Marvel really did good with this one. I think the origin movies have.
Oh, Grayson dropped off. We we will wait for him, but you can continue, Vivian.
Yeah, no, I mean the ending for me, like, definitely, you know, his sister going into now taking over the Ten Rings and kind of making it her own. That was kind of interesting as well. That I was like, oh, is she going to be a possible threat for the future now? Is she going to be, because at the end credits they said the Ten Rings will return. So I'm excited what she's going to do. Like, she's going to remodel her kind of her father's business and kind of do it how she, believes. And I'm excited for her, but I'm also kind of excited to see how the brother sister dynamic, because we see them, they work together really well.
Yeah, she even remodeled the whole thing. There's graffiti on the wall and stuff, and the logo also changed. Um, so yeah, I do think that she could be a very interesting character. I loved her in this movie, and I would definitely uh, watch more stuff with her. So I'm pretty excited. Someone asked Kevin Feige in an interview that whether the Ten Rings will return as a series, a Disney Plus series or something, and he said no, that won't be the case. It would just be in another movie or something, and obviously it would be hinted at in other movies in the background and stuff. So just like after Iron Man 3, we saw the Ten Rings' presence in the background, and yeah, that's what he said that it would be like. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for the future of this, if of this world itself. I want to see more of the Shang-Chi world. I loved everything that they showed me, and I'm pretty much rooting for Simu Liu and Aquafina and everyone else in this movie. And I'm very glad to see that they are succeeding at the box office as well, and everyone's loving them. Um, Especially after Disney's Bob Chapek saying that we'll put Shang-Chi just in theaters as an experiment, and obviously that was very poor choice of words on his part. And Simu Liu replied, "We're not an experiment, we are the change." And there was a whole tweet, and I think he should be very proud that this is a very big achievement, and I just love this film. Grayson, you're back.
I am back. Okay, I wasn't sure. I was waiting for the okay.
Cool.
So I forgot where I left on. My camera died. That's why I'm using my
You were
table
talking
camera.
about the end. You were talking about the Ten Rings, the ending.
Oh yeah, I guess you kind of confirmed that. I guess they won't return in Disney Plus, but
Yeah,
I'm still looking forward to whatever they're gonna do with that whole concept. It kind of reminded me of kind of like Kill Bill and stuff, and how there's all those like assassins. So I think it'll be really cool to see what they do with that. But yeah, the movie was good. I enjoyed it. I'm probably gonna see it again. I can't wait to. I get to watch it on. Is it even gonna be on Disney Plus, or are they just gonna?
it
Or
will
are they just gonna
probably
keep it exclusive?
it will probably be on Disney Plus after like 45 days or 3 months, however long the window is. But yeah, they're not gonna release it soon. they they know that this is a big box office hit, and they want the full income from that. And I think that's a pretty smart move on their part. It's also pretty good for Simu Liu and Aquafina and everyone involved. They have a very successful film here, and they might get more roles in the future. So it's pretty good for them as well. But yeah, overall, I just really, like I said, really love this film. Everything in it from start to finish was awesome to watch. I also, liked the other characters who were supporting, like her auntie. She was also awesome. Of course, she's a legend, and she played her part pretty well. Um, but yeah, I'm just very blown away by the dragons and how he fought in that scene. And I wasn't expecting, him to be that powerful. I was like, he's probably just a, martial artist and just would do hand-to-hand combat and would have the Ten Rings, using that as kind of a lasso, of a Wonder Woman, similar to that, but it's pretty powerful. And he's like, he's flying almost, and he has a dragon, and it's all pretty amazing. And he's very, very powerful. So I'm excited to see how they use him in the future big battle scenes. That would be pretty amazing to watch.
Yeah, those it did come pretty easily to him. Like I did find that kind
Yep.
of funny how once he got the rings, like he was like, I mean, Marvel does it all the time. Like when Captain
Yeah.
America got the hammer, he was kicking ass back like left and right. Like it's just it is
Yeah.
what it is, and I'm not gonna complain about it really. Um, but yeah, I'm really interested to see like how he operates in the Avenger world too, because I was kind of like after Endgame, you were kind of bummed, like, okay, there's no Iron Man, there's no Cap, like, what's the Avengers gonna look like now? But now, like, I feel like I think we're like I said, we're in good hands. I think whatever Avengers movie comes next, whether it's like the new Avengers, if they call it that, or if it's kind of like I think they're even teasing, not really teasing, but they had mentioned like possible like young Avengers. I wonder if he would be in that.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I just think the direction that the MCU is going in is like, if there is a correct direction, this is it. Like it seems like
Yeah.
they're going like they're taking a lot of chances in a way, even though these are like billion-dollar movies no matter what. Sometimes I think
Hmm.
they are taking chances, and um, I think it's gonna pay off. Like I feel like they're not resting on their laurels. They're not saying, okay, we have like so much money, we can just throw anything at the wall. I think they're actually trying to do something different. They're trying to be
Yeah.
inclusive too when it comes to like bringing in different cultures and stuff. And I think this movie was definitely a good, indication of like when they say they're gonna do a kung fu movie, they actually mean it. So
Yeah.
I loved it. I think it's one of the top tier MCU, I think, origin stories, and I can't wait to see where the character goes next.
Agreed. And before we go, I would like to bring up something which we forgot to mention. In the post-credit scene, we also have Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, and it looks like she is also going to be playing a big part going forward. Like she probably is the replacement of what the Iron Man figure was for the Avengers, or the Captain America figure. Like there were rumors that she would be the face of the MCU going forward, and I didn't really buy that before, but now I can see that they are kind of setting that up. So I'd be curious to see that. I didn't like her in the movie, in I mean in her movie, because that movie was not as good, I think. But I did like her in Endgame, and I did like her in this post-credit scene. She was pretty funny, and I am looking forward to that in the future as well. Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to just the future of the MCU. Like it's kind of weird watching it kind of unfold now post Endgame. Like you said, Brie Larson, she might be the face. I don't know if she is gonna be like the face of the Avengers. I thought that would be I guess Anthony Mackie as Captain America, but I guess we'll see what they do. I think that's going to be kind of really important going forward, like who they kind of establish to be the leader of the team, because like RDJ and Chris Evans, they have such good charisma and good chemistry, just like with everybody they have a scene with. So it's easy for them to be, the leader of the Avengers. But for Brie Larson or I think at one point people were talking about Spider-Man being the leader, which didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay. But in general, it's just gonna be interesting to see like what happens, and um, I think they're just kind of laying the groundwork for the future, and it's looking good too. It's looking it's looking just as good as it's ever been. So yeah, I'm excited and I'm looking forward to what comes next.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, it's like I'm excited to see what they have unfold. Um, I mean, I've seen like all the movies up so far, and during my summer, I just did like kind of a bit of a binge watch of the Marvel MCU movies, and yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see now what they're gonna do. I know that we don't have Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans kind of to lead anymore, and you're kind of gonna guess like who's gonna be the next um, person. I mean, you can, for me, like it doesn't matter who it is. Um, but as long as like, you know, we have like we have a stable, you know, Avengers and stuff like that. But you know what? I'm excited to see what's going to happen. And I'm sure like Kevin Feige has a plan and he has like a big long whiteboard and he's like, okay, this is what's going to happen in
Always.
2030.
He should call Zack Snyder. He has some whiteboards too.
Yeah, maybe the two of them could like say, let's exchange whiteboards, you know?
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So
But yeah, the movie also feels very Phase One in a weird way, and I think in a good way, which is fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying that Phase 4 is definitely the magical side of things. You know,
Yeah.
it's definitely the deep dive of the magic realm, and kind of like we're definitely going to go into the multiverse, and we're definitely going to deep dive into magic. Yes, in Phase 1 was more kind of like you meet your heroes and their build up, and of course this is very much like a new Phase 1, and it's like a new kind of groundbreaking kind of sort of how they're going to move forward with like the characters, and you know, with other characters that they've had from other movies that they've already built, and try and put them in with new characters that they're going to build together. So I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you guys. So yeah, that was our spoiler review for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Hopefully we see more of everything, like the character, story, the Ten Rings, everything from this movie. We hope to see more of that in the future. And Vivian and Grayson, it's been an absolute pleasure having you guys, and thank you for joining everyone else.
Thanks for bringing us on.
And
Thank
you
you.
can find us at The Real Talk Live on all social media. And you can find me at Krypton Cage on all social media. Where can they find you, Vivian?
You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Vivian Murphy 6, or you can find me on Instagram at Vivian Murphy 99.
Grayson?
You can find me on Twitter at R2_G_man. So it's kind of like R2D2, but like R2G man. It's like a weird code name I thought of a long time ago. And you can find me writing articles at realanarchy.com. I have a couple like coming out. I've been waiting a little bit just for timing's sake. And also, I'm working on a video for Black Widow for Real in Motion. So look forward to that soon.
Awesome. Can't wait. So yeah, thank you for joining everyone. It was a pleasure to see you guys talk about this movie, and I hope those who didn't see it yet, I hope you guys see it, and those who did see it, I hope you see it again because it's awesome. But yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys later and take care.